Hey all, it's Jeff with ZipFit, and today we're going to talk about actually trying to remove some cork from your liners. This is not the easiest thing, so before we dive into removing cork, we want to emphasize the importance first of just making sure you select the right liner, and then working with the dynamic cork to try to achieve the fit that you're looking for without removing cork. So some of the ways that we do that are by actually migrating the cork in the liner. And a lot of folks who have higher insteps or maybe thicker midfoots, they feel pressure in this spot right over the instep where that instep window cutout is. The cork material is dynamic and can migrate, so filling this whole tongue bladder is cork composite. If you're trying to create more space over the instep in this area, you can, using your thumbs, migrate some of that cork material further up into the liner, further up into the tongue. So this is definitely the first approach we'd recommend. If you have too much cork material in your ankle pockets, there's a little bit we can do there as well. There's cork in this front channel. There's no cork that comes pre-stock right over the ankle bone, and then there's cork in the Achilles kind of J-bar here. But again, you can massage and migrate cork from areas of higher pressure to areas of lower pressure. If you've exhausted your options and it still feels like there's too much cork in your liners, then removing cork, it's not the easiest thing, but it can be done. We do recommend, if you're adding any cork to your liners, to add less to start. Go and ski in it, see how it feels, and then add a little bit more. So for removing cork, first thing, I like to have needle nose pliers. It just makes accessing this port or tab a little bit easier. But we're going to pull out the port for the tongue. As I mentioned, there's cork all the way down throughout this tongue of the liner. So there's a couple different tools that we've talked to customers about using. Some folks have success with the back end of a spoon. I found this to be pretty tricky. This is another tool that we've heard has worked for folks. Basically a coat hanger with a bend and adding a little bit of tape or some additional material here allows for you to kind of scoop and pull out. I'll demonstrate this. You can see I did successfully remove a couple grams of cork already from this liner using this technique. The third technique is actually using one of our cork tubes that our cork comes in. If you use an empty tube, it's pretty easy to kind of fill the tube up, both by pressing it in and using your thumbs. So for this guy, the one limitation is that it's a little unwieldy. But if you put it in, you can see there I'm moving against the leather or the neoprene. You can see that the tool's down in there. I basically am going to hold down around the tool as I pull back out. I can feel a lump of cork coming with it. And there you go. Not bad. A little bit of cork, 10 minutes of doing that, and you end up with a more significant amount of cork removed from your tongues. Now, this method, using the tube that we send the cork in, and if you need an empty tube, let us know. We do have tubes here that are empty from fittings that we do in the shop here. But if you kind of put this in, and you can even kind of direct cork into the tube. Now I just got about 1.5 inches of cork out in a pretty quick movement. It is nice then to just push that cork further up into the tube and go again. The other benefit to this is you then have the cork in the same storage that we send it in. So if you need to add cork to another area of your liner, you can totally reuse this. These tubes are pretty effective for that purpose. Yeah, so I'll do another one here in the tongue, and then we'll look at trying to remove some cork from the ankle pouches. Great. So yeah, about another inch and a half or so. A full tube of cork is 15 grams. That is, pretty close to like half of the stock quantity in a tongue. I think tongues vary from like 33 to 60 or so, depending on the size. So if you were able to actually take a full tube out, that's a pretty significant decrease in the volume. You are going to want to then just redistribute the cork that is in there, so it's a little bit more even after removing some. But yeah, we got a pretty good amount out of the tongue. Now let's check out the ankles. And I'll preemptively say the ankles are a little harder to remove cork from. The reason being that there's 3 distinct channels in the ankles. There's that one right over the ankle, there's in front of the ankle toward the instep, and then back toward the Achilles. So not that this can't be done, but it is certainly going to be more of a challenge. All right, so I'm going to try to get some of the cork right here by the instep, on the lateral side of the foot out. So you can see with my other hand, I'm directing cork to the mouth of the tube. And we'll go ahead and see if I had any success. Not a ton of success, about a half inch or so. So yeah, removing cork from the lateral and medial ankles is going to be a little bit trickier. Removing it from the tongue is pretty straightforward, and you can create a good amount of volume just from taking some cork out of the tongue of your boot. Yeah. If you have any other questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments below or give us a call. Thanks so much.